Hello fellow smokers, good morning or afternoon depending on where you live. I thought I'd just show you guys what we got going on today. We are firing up our pellet smoker. We got the temperature set to 350 and it's just about up to temperature, and we're going to smoke some wings. We do ours a little unconventional, and this is something I've played around with a lot. I've made wings several different times, and so far this is the best way I've really come up to make them, and the easiest too. So we're going to start with just frozen chicken wings. They're not thawed out. Took them right out of the freezer and brought them out to the smoker. And I know it's probably going to scare the crap out of a lot of you, but I'm going to put them right in the smoker frozen. There's some people in the group that swear by it, and there's been a lot of back and forth, but they're not going to be in the smoker long enough to be any safety risk, because they're going to be fully cooked through in a couple hours. Because we are smoking at 350. They're going to have a really crispy skin on them. They're going to be super juicy on the inside. So I'm just going to throw them right in the smoker. If you guys haven't seen the inside of the pellet smoker, this has got 6 racks on there, and you can probably hear the fan on the bottom. And the fan is what helps to control the heat of the fire in the crucible. The faster it runs, the hotter it'll burn. So I'm going to throw mine on the bottom rack, because that's where the heating element is, the actual live fire in this smoker, because it is not an electric smoker. And it tends to run a little bit hotter down there. When I was doing my initial setup on this, I had the temperature probe reading closer to the 375 mark. And again, for chicken, that's going to be great. So I'm going to just pull the tray out, and I'm going to start just lining some chicken up on here. Nothing fancy, and you guys are also going to notice that this is unseasoned. I haven't made any special dry rubs for it, and the reason for that is because these wings are all going to get sauced, and a lot of times if you sauce in a thick sauce anyway, after you rub wings, a lot of times the rub really gets lost in the sauce, and that's not something that we're looking to do, is lose a bunch of the rub. But you certainly could, I suppose, season these about halfway through cooking, so about an hour in or so. And I am not sure how hungry we are today, but I imagine that'll get us through some football. So I'm going to push the rack back in there, close the door, see if I can get these latches one-handed for you. Another one down here. There's a third latch on the bottom, and down there is where the actual crucible is. That's where the auger is that feeds the pellets into the crucible, and that's where you clean out also. There is a little pan down there to clean out the ashes. It works all right. In here, these are my lumberjack pellets. I buy those through Seth. He seems to have the best deal around. So thank you, Seth. The hopper holds about 20 pounds of pellets. Not sure if you guys can read the display. It is very tough to read in the daytime here, but it says it's 194 right now. I just had the door open for quite a while. It'll take about probably 10 or 15 minutes to come back up to temperature. But that's a quick little walk around. See what else I can show you here. The legs. On the back side of it, it's got wheels, so you can tip it up. There's a handle. For me, I think the handle works great for storing tongs also. It's a pretty robust handle. Nice and sturdy. Above the handle, you got the vents. These vents control your airflow. Open and close. The two end ones stay open all the time. You're not supposed to really run these things with the vents completely closed. You don't want them super airtight, because you are dealing with real fire in there, and if you don't have enough oxygen to support the combustion, things can go sour for you. Number one, your flame could go out. It just won't burn hot enough. Sometimes your flame can burn back through your tube. Having good airflow just ensures that you're going to have good, clean combustion, healthy smoke. We got a good breeze coming through here today. That's going to help us also. Other side here, you got a little drip pan. It's supposed to catch the grease. Mine's empty. I haven't really noticed much grease collection out of mine. Not to say it's not working, but I do have my underside of my pan lined with foil, and I'm sure that's collecting a lot of it. I'm sure you noticed that also. The handles are wrapped with this kind of a spring wire material. That helps to keep the handle nice and cool. I've never had this feel hot to the touch. I've never worried about burning myself because the rest of the smoker is uninsulated, so the cabinet and the glass will run pretty hot, especially if you're smoking at 350. It's going to be close to 350 degrees. So you definitely don't want to set things on there. Don't set thermometers on top of it. This smoker does have probes that came with it that'll plug in here, and it gives you a little access port right on the side here. If you can see, not sure if you can see as well as I can here, but a little spot to run your probes. When you're not using the probes, you can close it, help keep the smoke and the heat in. But you can run 2 probes at the same time. And then to check the temperature on your probes, there's an actual button there to check your temperature on the probes. They set fairly similar to, see if I can block some of that sunlight for you, pretty similar to an electric smoker. You start off by hitting your power button, and you go through and you'll select your temperature. You go through and select your time up and down, cycle through your minutes, and that'll set it for you. In the first initial setup on here, if you're running an empty hopper, when you turn the smoker on for the first time, you're going to want to hold down this smoke button, and that'll run into a mode where it'll prime your auger. And then once you hear the auger start running, you listen for the pellets to start dropping into the cup. Once that happens, you can start your smoker up. You don't want to do that beforehand. This button also is to program your smoke mode. So after you program how you want this done, say I'm doing a brisket or a pork butt, a long smoke, and I want to hit it with some heavier smoke, I can do the smoke mode, and it'll make a lot of smoke for a certain amount of time. I think it goes up to 4 or 6 hours. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head. But that'll keep it with heavy smoke. The downside of that, though, is the temperature stays down a little bit lower. And we're in the 30s for temperature right now in Minnesota. So I don't want to play around with that, especially with chicken going in there. But if you do that smoke mode, even if you have your smoker set to 350 degrees, on the smoke mode it bypasses your initial temperature to give you smoke for priority for the designated time that you set it at. And that'll keep your smoker usually running in the low 200s or so. So if you're a smoker who's doing, ribs at 220, 250 or something, probably not a big deal. It won't really affect your cooking time too much. But it is a good way to get a little bit more smoke flavor, because these pellet smokers, they don't just smolder pellets like the electric smokers do. They actually burn them actually with fire, and that's what creates both your flavor and your heat source. So there's not an electric element in there. So it's got the glass front, almost completely useless. I'm not into cleaning mine. I'm not a clean freak. I do keep my smoker clean and maintained, but the glass front's not something I'm into. I've never walked by my smoker to look at it from the outside to see how it's doing. I usually have temperature probes going in there if I'm doing something that's crucial. I'm monitoring temperature. Otherwise, for ribs or something, it's kind of go by feel instead of by look. So there's just a quick walk around, just in case anybody's wondering about this. There may be some Black Friday deals coming out. That's kind of how I picked mine up last year. I got a online deal. It wasn't necessarily Black Friday, but I got mine online. Normally $5.99. I was able to get mine for, I think it was about $400 through Academy. So watch the ads. A lot of stores too will have free shipping or 20% off coupons. So check them out. So far I've been really happy with it. I did do a YouTube review on it when I first got it. I'll probably have to do a follow-up review because I haven't done one for a long time, but I've had it now for almost a year, and I've got a lot of smokes under my belt. So I just want to share this with you guys, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know and I will answer them as best I can.